a speaker falters within the confined space of a moving carriage. Thick dust rises along the rough and narrow roads of Herzegovina. A familiar proper name is suddenly lost in the quiet air of the moving vehicle. The failure of memory acts as an active interference from a hidden stream of thought. It is not a simple loss of stored data within the vast archives of the human mind. Vain efforts attempt to recall the master of the grand Orvieto frescoes. The correct name of the artist refuses to surface into conscious awareness. A void remains where the expected memory should smoothly and effortlessly reside. Instead of the lost name, false substitutes obtrude themselves with great tenacity. The persistent return of Botticelli and Boltraffio fills the dark mental gap. These names are immediately rejected by internal judgment as entirely incorrect. The substitution process operates through a hidden and highly lawful internal logic. A prior conversation about the Turks of Bosnia and Herzegovina is actively suppressed. These people show complete submission to fate and absolute trust in the medical physician. They accept the certainty of death with profound resignation and quiet dignity. This specific topic is abandoned due to an unmentioned tragedy in the town of Trafoi. A desperate patient ended his life there because of an incurable sexual disturbance. The name Signorelli breaks apart under the heavy pressure of this repressed trauma. The Italian word signor directly translates to the familiar German word Herr. This connection bridges the silent gap between the frescoes and the themes of death. The repressed thoughts secretly manipulate the phonetic structure of the target word. The associative displacement travels blindly along these hidden linguistic pathways. Consciousness receives absolutely no information concerning this intricate internal process. Another memory breach occurs during a discussion about the social position of a race. An ambitious young man recites a familiar and passionate verse from the poet Virgil. He wishes to express the vengeance the unhappy Dido leaves to distant posterity. He fails to recall the exact Latin word, aliquis, during the emotional vocal recitation. An open gap in his memory forces him to awkwardly transpose the remaining poetic words. He attempts to conceal the omission, but the missing word creates a noticeable stumble. The desperate search for the missing word descends into a subterranean network of thought. The word aliquis divides into fragments that slowly gather new phonetic context. These fragmented syllables lead to thoughts of relics, liquefying states, and fluid properties. The memory actively connects to Saint Simon and the ancient sacrificial deaths of children. Saint Januarius emerges with the famous religious miracle of his liquefying blood in Naples. The devoted people become highly excited if the miraculous liquefying process is delayed. A profound inner contradiction actively works against the concept of a new family generation. This invisible resistance connects to a secret anxiety regarding a missed menstrual cycle, an intimate fear of unwanted pregnancy disrupts the simple recall of the Latin pronoun. The mental disturbance proceeds straight from the inner part of the emotional theme touched upon. The young speaker unconsciously rejects the very wish for posterity that he attempts to quote. An outer association forms between the repressed wish and the forgotten linguistic element. Substitutive words serve as a careful compromise between the forgotten and the repressed. They follow rational and highly lawful paths of displacement through the layers of the mind. The missing linguistic element is never truly lost within the vast architecture of the brain. The conscious act of human volition entirely misses its intended associative memory target. A strong disinclination to recall directs its powerful force against one specific mental thought. The resulting inability to remember then forcefully appears in a completely different location. The persistent substitute operates as a highly specific and functional psychological symptom. It stands as a partial success of a deeper attempt to forget something else entirely. Every accidental memory lapse contains a motivated act of defense against awakening sharp pain. The temporal meeting of perfectly dissimilar contents forms an unbreakable psychological chain. The line of demarcation between the normal mind and the neurotic mind is remarkably faint. The deepest layers of the psyche constantly bleed into the mechanical functions of daily speech. A 24-year-old man looks back at a simple wooden garden stool. He sits quietly in a summer house beside his aunt for a basic lesson. The young child struggles to distinguish the shape of the letter M from N. He begs his patient instructor to explain how to tell the two letters apart. The aunt points out that the letter M has one additional whole written stroke. This early childhood recollection initially appears as a completely indifferent scene. Yet the remembered letters actually mask a deeper inquisitiveness about the human body. The boy sought to understand the physical difference between a boy and a girl. He eventually learned that the boy possessed one whole anatomical portion more. The innocent alphabet lesson perfectly conceals a significantly repressed early desire. Adult memory rarely retains the weighty and effective impressions of early childhood. Instead, our earliest mental recollections often preserve the completely accidental. These indifferent childhood memories owe their continued existence to psychological displacement. They represent a hidden substitute for other deeply significant and emotional events. A direct reproduction of the true memory is constantly hindered by massive inner resistance. Such an unearthed artifact of the mind truly deserves the title of a concealing memory. The mind leaves a lasting psychological possession without any apparent failure of retention. preserved memory simply acts as a symbolic screen for a totally different thought. This identical protective mechanism operates within the sudden and embarrassing failure of speech. A perfectly intended spoken word is abruptly distorted into a completely unintentional blunder. Early philologists attempted to deduce linguistic rules for these strange phonetic collisions. They grouped speech mistakes as mere interchangings and relatively simple mental anticipations. Linguistic theorists incorrectly assumed a highly innocent shifting of isolated phonetic values. This superficial explanation of vocal sounds severely lacks the deeper underlying psychological truth. The true speech disturbance originates from a thought entirely outside the intended spoken sentence. A deliberately hidden psychic motive actively directs itself against the entire spoken phrase. The president of the Austrian House of Deputies approached his formal parliamentary assembly. Instead of opening the session, he dramatically and accidentally declared the session fully closed. The unexpected word substitution physically manifested a powerful and deeply secret internal wish. He silently wished himself in a position to permanently escape the highly unpleasant daily task. Contrasting linguistic concepts are always very closely associated in normal speech consciousness. A powerful inner contradiction forces a contrasting substitution for the consciously intended phrase. The wording of an assertion thus completely removes the original conscious purpose of the speaker. Sometimes two entirely separate conflicting thoughts merge perfectly into a singular neologism. A woman described a social acquaintance using extremely critical and intensely harsh descriptive terms. She explicitly intended to call the other person straight-laced and also simultaneously brazen-faced. The conflicting judgmental words violently condensed into the audible, strange utterance, stracet-braced. Such embarrassing errors in speech mercilessly lay bare the inner dishonesty of the speaking subject. The mistake in talking thus becomes a powerfully mimicking form of involuntary secret expression. The visual memory screen and the auditory vocal slip are both highly sophisticated mechanisms of desperate psychic defense. These fragmented memory pictures and heavily twisted vocal syllables are formally known as paraphasias. They definitively represent the earliest descending psychological steps toward a genuinely pathological condition. Yet these perfectly identical and strange psychic disturbances manifest continuously in apparently normal persons. The traditionally imagined boundary between the diseased human mind and the completely healthy human mind finally dissolves. Every seemingly innocent slip of the human tongue physically acts as a highly reliable instrument of mental self-betrayal. The physical human mechanism of verbal expression simply cannot successfully bury a consciously rejected psychological intention. A powerful and carefully hidden internal conflict invariably finds a highly precise pathway directly into the physical real world. A heavy metal pen hovers nervously over a paper check resting on the wooden desk. Dark numbers flow smoothly from the sharp metallic nib onto the crisp white page, yet they are not the specific numerical figures intended by the focused author. Elsewhere, the restless eye scans a painted street sign in a strange and distant city. The word antiquities appears everywhere to the avid and searching collector. This occurs regardless of the actual letters printed on the wooden signs above. Mistakes in reading and writing are directly motivated by hidden displeasure. Foreign thoughts intrude upon the conscious mind without any prior warning. A distracted reader glances at an illustrated magazine held at a slight angle. The printed title seems to declare a grand wedding celebration in the Odyssey. The page is quickly shifted into proper alignment to reveal the actual text. It describes a much simpler celebration occurring instead in the Baltic Sea. This senseless optical mistake emerges from a latent internal preoccupation. The mind dwells quietly on archaic dream mythology and visions of ancient nakedness. The written text is unconsciously distorted to match the silent fixations of the observer. A careful writer fully intends to withdraw exactly 380 crowns. This exact sum is designated for a sick relative seeking treatment at a watering place. The total available balance in the postal savings account is significantly larger. It stands precisely at 4,380 metallic crowns. The pen moves rapidly and documents 438 crowns instead. This specific numeric figure represents exactly 10% of the entire financial account. The writer remembers a recent transaction involving a collection of unwanted books. A profound hidden fear of growing poor masks itself brilliantly behind this numerical slip. The author deeply regrets the expenditure and wishes silently for a 10% discount. These sorrowful financial feelings remain entirely foreign to normal waking consciousness. The disturbing emotion is bypassed and transformed into an erroneous stroke of ink. The mechanical errors of the printing press operate under the identical psychologic rules. A famous historical edition of the text is known widely as the Wicked Bible. The critical negative particle is suspiciously omitted from the seventh commandment. The printed page now commands the devoted reader to openly and freely commit adultery. Another biblical misprint replaces the German word for master with the word for fool. God tells the woman that her newly created husband shall be her absolute fool. The overworked compositor or his restless wife imposes an inner will upon the text. Sacred scriptures are seamlessly falsified by these silent and mundane domestic rebellions. The failure to execute a conscious intention functions as an identical, unseen grammar. A young, ambitious author is promised a timely review of his newly completed manuscript. The promise is spoken aloud, but the critical written review never actually materializes. This neglected task is not an innocent lapse of the fragile conscious memory system. The false resolution provides a convenient mask for an unacknowledged internal resistance. There is a distinct inward unwillingness to engage with the written work of the youth. A powerful motive of displeasure actively dismantles the intended future action. A historic legal treaty omits a single critical word from its final approved translation. The crucial term effective is completely erased from the binding Hungarian agreement. This strange omission represents an unconscious desire to grant the least possible advantage. The missing word strips the strict economic obligations of their practical authority. Forgetting is never a mere accidental loss of precious neurological data. It is a highly motivated act of defense against the sharp and sudden awakening of pain. The psychic apparatus fiercely protects its equilibrium by omitting the effective from the law. A complex protective stratification blocks the painful elements from reaching the surface. Every misread word and every skipped syllable serves this unseen architectural purpose. The errant mark on the page perfectly reveals the flawless logic of the hidden psyche. A hand reaches across a wooden desk toward a familiar reflex hammer. The fingers bypass the intended tool and grasp a heavy tuning fork. This metal object slides deep into the fabric of a dark coat pocket. A downward pull from the weight signals a quiet deviation from logic. Haste offers a convenient excuse for this sudden failure of attention. Yet the memory of an idiotic child surfaces without any clear warning. This child held the same tuning fork with total, unbroken fascination. The substituted object carries a silent voice of severe self-criticism. It forces the mind to remember a tragic misdiagnosis from a distant past. The heavy fork acts as an insult directed inward at the wandering physician. A figure stands before a locked laboratory door in a quiet institution. A hand reaches into a pocket and extracts a familiar metal house key. The grooves and ridges of this key cannot possibly turn the rigid lock. This physical mistake demonstrates exactly where the mind prefers to be. Before a patient's home, the same incorrect house key often appears. Taking out this specific key signifies a hidden tribute to the resident. The faulty action translates to a feeling of being completely at home. The body executes a symbolic representation of an unacknowledged thought. A narrow study confines movements among fragile antique clay and stone. The threat of shattering a valuable artifact hangs heavy in the tight room. Yet, an arm swings outward with a remarkably awkward, sudden motion. A flat marble inkstand cover is brushed forcefully off the writing desk. The stone shatters on the floor, while all surrounding bronzes remain safe. Hours earlier, a visiting sister declared the old inkstand unmatched. She insisted that a much prettier replacement was absolutely necessary. The swinging arm performs a deliberate execution of the condemned object. The violent movement skillfully avoids every other valuable artifact nearby. It forces the sister to carry out her intention to provide a new gift. A sudden impulse strikes a walking figure wearing a loose bathrobe. A straw slipper is hurled violently from a foot directly at a pale wall. It strikes a beautiful marble Venus and brings it crashing from a bracket. This destructive madness coincides with news of a sick relative's recovery. The shattered statue serves as a silent act of sacrifice toward a blind fate. A grateful feeling dictates the precise aim of the flying wooden footwear. A father playfully tosses his favorite child high into the evening air. The game continues until the small head nearly strikes a massive gas chandelier. This careless physical movement conceals a dark, underlying aggressive intent. The near accident masks a repressed wish for freedom from a strained marriage. The physical mechanism expresses a lethal thought without speaking a single word. A sudden fall on a paved street prepares the body for a coming neurosis. Giving up bodily equilibrium presents a hidden, unvoiced sexual fantasy. A young woman jumps from a carriage and fractures a bone beneath her knee. She feels no pain and calmly accepts the disaster without any visible distress. A jealous husband had previously condemned her dancing as entirely inappropriate. The calculated fracture metes out a precise punishment suitable for the crime. Human limbs do not stumble or strike blindly without precise inner instruction. The architecture of an accident relies entirely upon an underlying psychological draft. Broken objects and fractured bones represent exact payments for unrecognized psychic debts. A misplaced key or a shattered statue serves as a tangible monument to a hidden conflict. The physical body transforms abstract anxieties into concrete, undeniable events. It executes complex maneuvers with a chilling and absolute mechanical perfection. Apparent clumsiness is a masterful disguise worn by the relentless, unconscious mind. There are no genuine accidents residing within the entire spectrum of human motion. The body remains the most obedient and ruthless servant of the unseen, silent will. A woman tears a $100 note in 2 pieces during a brief visit. The thick paper parts without hesitation under the pressure of her hands. Half remains on the wooden desk, while the other goes to a seated guest. This destruction of valuable currency carries the disguise of mere chance. The torn note functions as a precise payment for a secret mediation. The visitor previously recommended a skilled physician to this nervous host. A repressed wish forms a silent fantasy of securing a husband and a child. The severed money compensates the visitor for an entirely imagined service. These specific actions disdain the support of any conscious human intention. They appear independently, without claiming awkwardness as a convenient excuse. The human hands keep busy and execute quiet commands without deliberate thought. The actor suspects absolutely nothing of the profound meaning hidden within. A young bride trims her cuticles and cuts deeply into the surrounding flesh. The sharp steel blade injures the specific finger wearing the wedding ring. This seemingly minor wound occurs precisely on the morning of her wedding day. Her legal husband holds the formal academic title of a Doctor of Laws. A past romantic affection belonged to a physician known as Doctor of the Left. The delicate skin suffers an unnatural injury with an easily guessed meaning. A left-handed marriage implies an intimate and alternative biological bond. Elsewhere, a medical practitioner moves heavy furniture in a new residence. He places a useless wooden stethoscope flat upon his polished writing desk. It rests exactly between his own chair and the designated seat for his patients. All other modern instruments remain hidden away inside various closed drawers. The hollow wooden tube carries the immense psychic weight of a phallic idea. It serves as a symbolic sword positioned between the man and strict temptation. The object mirrors the naked sword of Sigurd beside the sleeping Brunhilde. It forms a perfect compromise between illicit desire and professional distance. Restless fingers reach into deep pockets and habitually jingle heavy silver coins. The sharp metallic noise rings out while the actor remains entirely deaf to it. These rhythmic movements conceal deep meaning denied to normal spoken expression. Playing with a heavy watch chain operates as a continuous symptomatic tick. A young nervous boy rolls a mass of breadcrumbs tightly between his small fingers. He models a crude prehistoric mannequin with a remarkable and completely fluid speed. An exaggerated appendage forms securely between the primitive clay legs. The boy hears the ancient myth of King Tarquinius walking in the royal garden. The legendary king silently strikes off the heads of the largest blooming poppies. At these spoken words, the boy instantly tears the head right off the mannequin. The hands provide incredibly eloquent declarations through discarded food scraps. A keen medical observer deciphers these acts exactly like the wise King Solomon. The ancient legendary ruler understood the hidden and complex language of the animals. A large, stiff stain on a young man's dark trousers attracts immediate visual notice. The suspicious white mark receives a harmless explanation involving a spilled raw egg. The crusty albumin actually serves as a silent and glaring confession of masturbation. The trivial details of the external environment constantly pulse with deep psychic signals. Every unfastened button and neglected clothing seam radiates absolute internal intention. Misplaced physical objects construct a vast and silent vocabulary of psychological truth. The mundane human world operates as an inexhaustible and continuous broadcasting station. There are absolutely no empty gestures or meaningless accidents in the conscious waking state. The physical body acts as the ultimate and perfectly obedient servant to the hidden will. The mind constantly translates the surrounding inert matter into a purely visible language. Every seemingly random habit betrays the exact contour of a buried and invisible desire. The border between deliberate choice and accidental occurrence completely dissolves here. Black ink presses firmly against the white surface of the printed paper. An author overlooks a glaring error across 3 separate proofs. The name Hasdrubal remains completely invisible to his critical eye. He possesses an intricate knowledge of the history of the Barkites. The name of the father should be written clearly as Hamilcar Barcus. Hasdrubal is the name of the brother and the predecessor in command. This historical falsehood survives the most rigorous examinations. The failure of memory is never a simple absence of historical fact. Back of every unnoticed error lies a deliberate and hidden repression. The false word conceals a disfigurement based on repressed material. The investigation into the errant text immediately leads backward. The substitution originates from a specific sequence of associations. These associations deal directly with fantasies of the college years. The author harbored dissatisfaction with the conduct of his father. A visit to England introduced him to his older half-brother. The oldest son of this brother was the exact same age as the author. A silent fantasy emerged regarding the preference of his parentage. It would be much pleasanter to be born the son of the older brother. This suppressed desire actively falsified the text of the manuscript. The name of the brother violently replaced the name of the father. The mythological horror of the Greek deities is similarly distorted. An assertion is made that Zeus emasculates and overthrows his father. This specific violent act is erroneously advanced by a full generation. According to ancient Greek mythology, Kronos committed this horror. The memory usually provides the most remote and unusual material perfectly. An admonition from the half-brother lingered long in the unconscious. The brother stated that the author belonged to the 3rd generation. The father had remarried at a significantly advanced stage of his life. The mythological error shifts generations to avoid this painful memory. The error acts as a rigid substitute for an intentional concealment. A sleeping man is awakened by a conductor calling out the name Marburg. The preceding dream contained a specific inquiry regarding Schiller. The text falsely indicates Marburg as the birthplace of the great poet. The poet was actually born in the Swabian city known as Marbach. The analysis of the dream suppressed an unfavorable criticism of the father. The suppression involved a specific business friend named Mr. Marburg. The suppressed identity avenged itself by intruding where it did not belong. A physician forgets to retrieve 2 promised books for a waiting patient. The patient intended to use these specific books for an Easter tour. The physician secretly viewed the journey as an unnecessary interruption. A quick survey of the library produces a historical work on the Medicis. The physician brings the irrelevant text to the patient without hesitation. The famous Medicis had absolutely nothing to do with the city of Venice. For a brief moment, the action did not appear to be incorrect at all. The symptomatic action forced a confession of the hidden professional motive. The conscious intention repeatedly fails to check the success of the faulty act. The unknown motive works relentlessly against the conscious resolutions. A psychic work is required to make the unknown elements fully conscious. The unconscious activity persistently achieves its underlying purpose. Every mechanical failure of memory is an undeniable psychological success. The impulse to tell the raw truth is far stronger than usually supposed. Every attempt at distortion rapidly succumbs to an inevitable faulty act. As one analyzes the errors, it becomes impossible to sustain a falsehood. The barrier between the hidden intention and the physical action vanishes. The unconscious mind stands revealed as the ultimate and absolute truth-teller. The digits of a random number echo in the quiet space of a darkened room. A man names the number 1734. This sequence appears as a sudden whim of the conscious mind. He believes he has summoned these digits from a place of pure freedom. The feeling of free will is a conscious ignorance of unseen motivation. Weighty decisions often arrive carrying a distinct sense of compulsion. Trivial choices masquerade as independent acts without a hidden motive. The arbitrary number neatly divides into 17 and 34. The man is exactly 34 and mourns the fading of his early youth. A printed catalogue reveals the 17th volume is the play Macbeth. An agonizing search through the mind uncovers this deliberately lost text. Another mind conjures the number 2467. This figure is chosen to estimate the potential errors in a printed book. The digits represent a precise calculation involving the author's own age. 43 years of life are added to the 24 years of his youth. The resulting sum of 67 reflects a stubborn desire to keep working. The unconscious hastens to determine the exact number freed by consciousness. Every psychic manifestation is strictly determined by invisible inner forces. The naming of a patient follows this exact same unyielding internal law. A supposedly random pseudonym of Dora replaces the actual name of Rosa. This choice is an unbroken displacement, tracing back to a sister's nurse. That poor nurse was forced to lay aside her own true name in the household. The false name acts as a perfectly structured artifact of forgotten sympathy. There is absolutely no random selection in the vast architecture of the mind. The false pseudonym Erna is selected to replace Dora during a public lecture. This rapid choice is driven by the family name of another female student. The name Lucerna provides the hidden linguistic fragment for the substitute. Conscious thought remains entirely ignorant of the motives driving the slip. A superstitious person completely misreads the source of these accidents. He knows absolutely nothing of the invisible motives driving his own actions. These unrecognized motives are fiercely projected outward into the world. The superstitious individual perceives internal psychology as an external omen. A coachman mistakenly stopping at the wrong house becomes a dark hint of fate. The clinical analyst searches for those exact same motives within mental life. Inner psychic accidents do not exist anywhere within the human machine. An error in walking is always an action guided by an unseen unconscious intent. The paranoiac closely observes the most trivial details in the behavior of others. He watches how strangers walk upon the street and how they brandish their sticks. Every minor hand motion is immediately interpreted as a deliberate communication. Normal people easily dismiss these tiny actions as meaningless physical accidents. The afflicted mind perceives an undeniable unconscious truth within these gestures. This deep insight is hopelessly corrupted when it is imputed to other individuals. He projects the hidden mechanics of his own mind into the surrounding environment. The border between health and neurosis dissolves under this rigorous observation. Symptoms are transformed into the least important and most mundane daily activities. Unwelcome and repressed psychic material is never fully robbed of its raw capacity. A strange psychic work allows these faulty actions to originate like dream pictures. The mechanism of chance actions shows a profound agreement with dream formation. Unconscious thoughts demand expression as a parasitic disturbance of another idea. The conscious mind ignores this determinism by abandoning its psychic capacity. Determinism reaches much farther into the human mental landscape than we can suppose. The mythological conception of the world is mere psychology projected to the outside. A dim internal perception of hidden factors serves as a model for absolute reality. The ancient myths of paradise and the fall our projected psychology of the unconscious. Metaphysics is inevitably transformed into a pure and clinical metapsychology. The line between divine intervention and the rigid machinery of the brain vanishes. Superstition is reclaimed as internal psychology perfectly mapped onto the physical plane. The individual is left stranded in a world where every single accident is deeply meaningful. The unseen grammar of the faulty act. The script was based on the book Psychopathology of Everyday Life, authored by Sigmund Freud and first published in 1901. Thank you for watching. Until the next journey begins,